Yeah. 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 I always bring my card.
It's the new tool, staying sharp, staying
5 seconds.
next generation.
5 seconds and no info, baby.
I think it's so. I just thought that funny if I have time when I first starting out.
So if everybody settles in, I just want you to pay about 60 seconds of direct attention to this song. It was written in about 5 seconds with minimal prompting. All AI.
Andrew Guasch with the spark. Yeah,
I think you were in
dance in the conference room.
what was it? Thomas Cook, you were here. Are you videos? Yes, they're so good. I wasn't asking.
The song is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They are good.
But they're like,
Beckman and Becca, bring it home.
like, and the views have these videos, and they look like they're all AI, and he like makes one that's like, they're all over the place, but he has like ones with celebrities in them.
Well, if everybody settles in here,
I don't know how they pop up on my.
the major point
But they're there.
of all of the AI coming through is not what kind of catchy or novel type items can we create that our nieces, nephews, daughters, sons, or families' children have already created and incessantly won't stop bothering us with. But it personifies the ability of what AI can really do in such a minimal amount of time. Now, I'm most definitely not a musician, and I don't spend my time making songs. And I don't think in a lifetime I would create a song that has that much clarity, definition, and separation. But with a simple bit of prompt engineering and specifics on how to input information into these tools, I was able to, with just simple clicks of a button and no effort, build a song that sounded like a song based on a couple people here that drive the business already. That to me says I can take something that it was not possibly within my reach before. And within seconds, I have not just it within my reach, the product, the output put within its reach. And I think before we get too deep into anything, the one thing I really want to step into is one of the most captivating analogies that I've heard for AI and how to utilize it and why it's important. When we think the car came around, do we think everybody understood how the car, the engine, the bearings, how everything on a vehicle worked to get you from point A to point B? Or do you think people hopped into a vehicle, crank started the engine and then just started going and driving away? I think it was the latter, because most of the time when there's a new invention, we don't really understand what's behind the invention. There are those who understand that the invention is necessary and utilize it and how it can make their lives easier and better. And there are those who say this is a tool of domination, this is an abomination, or the devil's work, whatever it may be, and they disregard it and they say, it completely threatens where humanity is at. And I think this is perfectly aligned and akin with AI itself. I've been deeply entrenched in AI before AI was called AI. They were called, essentially they're called neural networks and a path. It was a different way of thinking. So now we have this kind of analogy for what AI is. And using this in a car, I want to akin parts of AI to the engine itself, or to the vehicle. The engine is the model, the GPT, the Gemini, the Sora, all these different models that you've already heard. The fuel is the information, the data that you're putting into it, the information that it's already extracted from the internet, information extracted from other resources that you're giving it yourself. The GPS is the prompt, the thing that we'll get into in a couple minutes that actually drives the output. And then you yourself are the driver, and then the guardrail are the policies and the self-checks that each of these systems has already imbued into its system to make sure that it's safe for you to utilize. So basing off that, I think we all can agree by a show of hands. Does anybody think the car saved people some time? Yeah, did. Fair enough. I think we can agree that AI is likely to do the same thing. So if I could give you back 5 hours this week, and perhaps every week, would that hold meaning for you?
Yeah.
It would hold meaning. Fantastic. And it doesn't have to be 5 hours for, you know, business only. I had a conversation with several other people about this. Maybe you work as hard as you can already and you're stretched to your limit. And maybe you're putting in every hour possible and you're not getting quite that return that you feel you deserve on that. Maybe you'll get 5 hours of personal time back. Maybe you'll be able to optimize even more so you'll get 5 more hours of meaningful work into your process. And then if I could tell you that through that 5 extra hours that you gain back every week, you could potentially close 1 more sale just this year. Do you think that's a meaningful return on utilizing the AI?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll tell you this. Actually, I'll ask the audience first. In your sector of real estate, what percentage of real estate agents do you think haven't utilized AI in their workflow at all yet?
97.
Haven't worked in
Correct.
the opposite direction, but anybody else?
I was thinking more like 50.
So on the high end is 46, on the low end is 10%. 25% according to the National Association of Realtors. And I don't know if you gotta take those stats seriously or not, but according to the National Association of Realtors, about 25 to 35% of real estate agents don't regularly, meaning weekly, utilize AI into their workflow. About 25% use it daily, and about 35% use it weekly. So that means more than 50% of agents across the United States, at least, are utilizing AI regularly in their workflow to optimize what they're already doing great. Another stat that I kind of want to go over is that last year, according to Redfin, 48% of real estate agents closed 0 to 1 sales last year. That's not of inactive agents. That's 71. If we were taking inactive agents, 71% of agents closed 0 sales last year. So if of active agents, 48% made 0 to 1 sales. That means there's a statistical chance. I'm not saying specifically in this room, you're all here to learn something, but there's a statistical chance that somebody sitting next to you didn't make the sales they wanted to last year. So if you can utilize a tool to do your job better, again, not do your job, but to do your job better or make you more efficient and the things that you're already great at, would you do that? It seems pretty obvious that that should be a complete show of hands here. So hopping into the power of AI, if you answered yes, that's why you should already be utilizing AI. Now, what is AI? What tools are we already aware of? I have some on the screen here. Is everybody here aware of all of these tools, starting with KWIQ? Has anybody here heard of KWIQ? So it seems like 50-50. KWIQ is your Keller Williams driven artificial intelligence tool. It has been fed and trained over millions and millions of points of data specific to real estate information so that it does not regurgitate, part of my language, bullshit to you. As so many people have seen and read everywhere, AI can and will give you BS. And it's important to know how and when and why to avoid that. Keller Williams has taken millions and millions of dollars to train an agent to specifically answer questions in your field with your tools with accuracy. So I believe you can obtain access to this through your command. KWIQ, yeah, KWIQ, and you'll gain access to that.
So, yeah, so can you clarify with each one, like I know it's Gemini, Google, like, you know, but
Yeah, so-
like and I also am just curious, and maybe you're gonna get into this. Is each one good for certain things? Like, is KW really good for us in the real estate industry? Like,
So, yeah,
you know what I mean?
and I also encourage everybody to ask any question you have like at the moment. So that's perfect. So all of these, I will say, some come to personal preference, some come to industry standard benchmarks for what they are best and best at. One of the most beautiful things that I will say that is happening right now is the AI market is exploding so quickly that is forcing people to one, steal information from each other, to then make other information free to us. So as you know, China steals information from the United States steals information from China, ChatGPT steals information from Claude steals information from Gemini. All these people are stealing back and forth. In order to get people to come back to their side, they're saying, well, we need to offer them something free. So 1 week, you know, Gemini may be the best at analyzing live information from data sets and websites. But 2 weeks later, Claude or ChatGPT may be just as good at that.
I think it's also how you use it, because a lot of these have learning mechanisms where by now my ChatGPT like knows who I am, knows who Karen is, knows what we do, knows how we speak, you know. So it's more about how you condition.
Yep.
I would say instead of bouncing around, just like double down on one.
Yeah, with it, that is and that is one thing I will say. They all are generally built on the same type of tensors. That's essentially the engine. So they're all built with the same mechanics there. And if you get good at one that you're comfortable with, and I believe you all have access to KWIQ, and I believe through your Keller Williams email address, you also have access in some capacity to Gemini.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody has a Gemini Pro account through your KW email address. And then, sorry, just jumping.
You're good.
KWIQ it's inside of command. KWIQ, oh, you're gonna cover it. I don't want it to.
You're good. No, you're good. You're good.
No,
Yeah.
because like I was initially using ChatGPT because I think we were first introduced to that, and that limited you unless you got the professional version.
Right.
Then I started to use Gemini because I heard we got that through KW,
Yep.
and that doesn't limit. So I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't know
So-
what affiliations we had. So.
I'll say this, in my field in technology, I much prefer ChatGPT, but it also comes directly tied to some other resources that as a developer, I can personally
And you have a
utilize.
pro version then.
Yeah, and I do
Okay.
have a paid for pro version. I've had it since the day it came out.
Talking about the $20, right? Not the really expensive one. Like I have the $20 one.
Yeah. Yeah, but whatever,
Yeah,
paid anything
no.
versus free.
If I do have, yeah,
A month or something.
Okay.
and I have spent a significant amount of money on that version since it came out, utilizing it just because it was essentially built that way. But so right now, I will say they all can do any job. Any of the ones that I have up here can do any of the jobs. And if you have access to any of them, I encourage you to start there. And as you branch out, you'll get comfortable with where and what direction you want to go. So KWIQ, just to quick cover that, that's your Keller Williams AI assistant. It's your Keller Williams proprietary AI built just for your business. It integrates directly with the KW ecosystem. So I believe it directly integrates with your personal command items there. And it's designed to understand the unique language and needs of real estate. So to get back to the last part of your question there, KWIQ is most definitely the one that is most fit for you and KW in real estate, at least right now, out of any of the resources that I've come across. And it's also one of the only ones that's been personally trained by like a real estate agency company. That as I've gotten into this too, the definitions.
It's built on the fundamentals of the MREA, right? So those of you who don't know what MREA stands for, Familiar Real Estate. And that's the book that Gary Keller, Dave Jenks, and Jay Papasan wrote. So all the models and systems of MRA, like the economic model, budget model, the lead gen model, they're all built into KWIQ. So if you go in there and ask a specific question about your business, it's going to utilize what it knows about those models to give you the answer.
Yeah, that's exactly, and And that's kind of where, so I'll take 1 second to hit an aside. A lot of people, you'll hear these fears, this fear mongering that like AI is going to take over, AI is going to take over. There's going to be one AI, it's going to be Sarah, Connor and Terminator, and AI is going to be everywhere. She's out there smoking a cigarette, stressed that we're all using AI.
Hey, they are on Skynet, so.
But it's my personal view and a lot of other views in AI in general, that just like the internet, there's not going to be one person that rules the internet. Everybody's going to utilize it, and tons of things are going to be built on the back of it. So under the hood for what AI is, it's a prediction engine. It's a powerful prediction machine. And what it first was trained to do is this whole system was built to predict the next word, the next token, the next part of a sentence, so that as somebody was speaking, we could guess then what their next word was. And then as we got better at doing that in itself, we started noticing that it would put out a couple tokens, it would put out a couple words. And then we went from going overnight, literally, putting information into this system, getting out a ton of gibberishness, to all of a sudden we were getting out coherent, cohesive statements. And then as we fed it more and more information, all of a sudden we started getting what we classify these as responses. So they were no longer predictive tokens for what we were going to state and say next. They all of a sudden became interactions where you could ask it a question and then it would hit a ton of resources and parsing through its internal information to then give you a coherent and then valid answer to something. And obviously, when this hit the market, the utilization of it was immense. This became what is known as the large language model. That's what you see Gemini, that's what you see ChatGPT, all the things that you see people texting to, those are called large language models. And then aside from that, we have something called multimodal. That's everything that's just outside of text-based language. And then before we really hop into the meat and potatoes of it, why is AI growing so quickly? The last 3 doubling cycles of AI, which is the amount of time that it's taken for it to double in its potential and double in its capability of processing data, has shortened by a significant amount of months each time, to the point where it is now starting to shape up into an exponential bell curve, essentially. And it does not show any signs of slowing down or stopping. So why is this happening so quickly? Well, it just happens to be the right storm of everything. Cloud computing, if anybody's ever heard of that, instead of building your own servers, instead of renting out a gigantic space to then put a bunch of computers to then run some sort of program, Amazon has a ton of servers everywhere. Microsoft has a ton of servers everywhere. Google has a ton of servers everywhere. I can just wake up one morning, build a program in X amount of time, and then rent as many servers as I need for it to work. So as people build these AI models and they make meaningful work out of them, they then are able to deploy them quickly. They get to the consumers with the websites quite quickly, and they open source these pieces of information so that other people can build on top of them. All of this makes for a ripe storm that when somebody else sees opportunity and the opportunity is continually growing and it's paying you back, everybody's going to run to that. So we have the fears. Well, I have a question. Does anybody have any fears about AI in here? Are there any yes?
Oh, no, it's legit Skynet.
Yeah. Fair enough. What about you? Do you have any specific fears or? Yeah. What's one of them?
Well, everything's been every piece of data is been moved to the point where I don't value anymore.
Yeah.
I am not a value add. And I'm not saying this as a realtor, I'm saying this as a person. Like, I am making other people rich just by grabbing a cup of soda.
Right.
Or by the shoes I wear. And that's scary.
That is
not
scary.
make me feel good. The other thing is, I don't want a data center built down the street from my house.
Yeah.
Because right now, that's what we're getting is like in Middletown, there's a data center being built.
And they just bought a golf course down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right about the street from my house.
They say that we need
Yeah, Gotham.
data centers that are not inhabited by anyone except one person who works there. There's 3 jobs involved. In it.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I think about personally. when it comes to AI.
Yeah,
But then also there's the pragmatist who says, I need to get shit done, excuse me, I need to get stuff done. And I also don't have time to mess around to make it perfect, so AI, do it for me, please.
I think that's beautiful though, in the fact that I think one of the most, so a philosopher that I quite often listen to, he had stated that one of the craziest things he sees us experiencing with AI is that there's this rapid shift in people's not just daily lives, but like the paradigms in which they live their daily lives. And then we're not talking about it. So when somebody grew up in 10 years ago, that world very potentially does not exist for them in any meaningful capacity anymore. And it's not that it changed, but it's the fact that it changed and nobody's really talking about it. That is kind of strange. And I think that to get and cross a bridge, I think you have to talk about things. And I think you also do have to get shit done. Because if you don't do it, the other people will. And I think that is important with people that people with good intentions are the ones that take the opportunity to get things done. Because Lord knows we don't need more of the other people taking opportunity to get them done. I saw a couple other hands. Anybody have any other fears? He was definitely worried about Sarah Connor and Skynet. Yeah.
Is that the robot?
Yeah, that's robots. And I mean, there are like a lot of other things like that too, not to like get anybody worried, but I mean, that you can believe that it's being instituted in every possible archetype of thinking possible. Now I just want to quick hit fears versus empowerment. It's accuracy. Accuracy is something you should be worried about with AI. Compliance is something you should be worried about with AI. And an authentic voice is something you should be worried about with AI. Everybody has seen on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, those posts that has 1,000 emojis, it has 6 bullet points, each noted by an emoji, a whole bunch of BS that you don't really care about, something to draw you in to click more. And the second you hit click more, you're taken to another website. It's just like, I gotta get it. But what AI is really good at is speed, structure, and consistency. I build websites, I build software for a living, and about 2.5, 3 years ago, I was having a conversation with my cousin who works at Sony. He's a senior engineer there and senior architect. And when I was speaking to him, I said, I really feel guilty about having AI do my job sometimes for things that I know I'm great at, but it almost feels like I'm like giving my job away. But he's like, if it can do something perfectly and you can do it perfectly, but it's going to do it 150 times faster, why are you not going to use it? Your competition is going to use it. And you start thinking about it in that manner. It is great with speed and repetition, but what I can't always guarantee is the accuracy. I can have it make what would take me 3 hours to write in about 10 minutes. And then I can spend the next, even if it's 50 minutes checking it, it's still going to save me an hour on that product right there. And then, so before we head into my deep dive on how to use AI and use it in a meaningful manner, not to do your job, but to help you do your job better. Everybody has at least used AI in at least one. ChatGPT, show of hands. Gemini, show of hands. KWIQ.
I don't even know where that is.
I think well,
Tried to use it
Now I
once
found
and
it.
now it's like,
It's inside of commands. You go up to the top right of command, there's like a little star. It's not a star, but something like a star up the top right. I think if you click that, it's like 2 stars or something. You click that, it'll open up.
Does it say KWIQ?
Yes, it's right here.
I'm gonna start using it a lot.
I see, okay,
Click on it, the little.
okay, didn't know.
Yeah.
But you can't ask KWIQ, like, what's the recipe for chicken a la king? Or-
No.
Yeah, okay.
So because I can
They, like, really say, okay. Okay, got it.
that is, but see, there,
Accuracy?
you're learning that. That's the matter, yeah. ChatGPT, So one of the biggest, loftiest truths that I had heard, so I used to own several liquor stores in the state of Maryland. All of a sudden, one day I just kind of pivoted. I was feeling unhappy already, but the statement, I remember to this day, stated by Tom Bilyeu, is that we'll never use AI, we'll never use technology less tomorrow than we did today. And this man owned several multi-million-dollar profiting companies. And he had sold everything just on a dime too. And I didn't have millions of dollars at all. And I said, well, if this man can do it, I definitely need to do that. Because one of the biggest problems we all know is finding your audience. Well, if your audience grows to be 8 billion people on the planet, 6 billion of those people have devices right now. I mean, our community here is what, a maximum of 200,000 people in the general locale. So I mean, 200,000 compared to 8 billion, that number doesn't even, shift there. So then, and that does include AI. And if you're not using AI in your business, a meaningful share of your competition already is. Earlier, according to those statements that I had said, about 25% of people use AI in real estate daily, 35% use it weekly, 15% use it monthly, 15% have tried, and 10% have never tried at all. And that's at Q3 of 2025. There also is a growing correlation between the impact of AI and closing rates. Just noticing that the more people seem to use AI, the more they seem to close. Now, whether that's directly involved in their ability in using AI to make meaningful close of that sale, or maybe it's just also a direct correlation of their taking initiative to, take on something new. So then where I recommend starting is, if you haven't started anything, is starting it at that KWIQ. I believe it'll really help you streamline some of your work. Then head into Google Gemini. We can show you a lot of cool tips and tricks there. And my personal preference is the ChatGPT. And I'll show you a lot of why that is here today. But I've been using AI for over 4 years to make meaningful work of application, to keep my costs low for my clients, in order to provide meaningful outcomes for my clients without raising my price. Where some people see it as a disservice because you're not hiring other people, I see it as a service to those people that rarely get the chance to grow. So one of the first things that I recommend is, when we start in ChatGPT, or we'll start in Gemini over here, is you can upload files. So when you upload files, this can allow you to, instead of just utilizing specific, your text inputs, it'll allow you to attach files, whether it's for your a house that you're closing, whether it's personal information on that there. That will allow you to be what is reflective in GPT here as a directory. And I can already tell I'm getting a little out of hand here, so we'll start with the prompt.
Yeah.
So,
Andrew, excuse me, is this being recorded?
I hope it's being recorded. I felt like I was told it's being recorded.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
Yeah,
Thank you.
perfect. So a prompt. Is anybody aware of what the prompt for AI is? A prompt? All right, so if you ever been on AOL Instant Messenger or any other sort of AI or instant messaging system, a prompt is literally just the text-based message you send to the AI. So I'm going to show you right here kind of give me a task you would want AI to do. Any task.
Write a social media post.
Write a social media post? Perfect. Write a social media post. And what do we want this social media post to be about? It can be made up to.
About real estate in Dauphin County.
Real estate in Dauphin County. So we can ask it. We gave it the most minimal amount of information. And in my personal experience, what you can expect from minimal information in is minimal meaningful information out. This is where prompt itself comes into play. You've heard a lot of buzzwords, prompt engineering, all this other stuff. So it gives us a couple options here. The general engagement, I'll just read the top one. Paired with a high quality photo collage showing Harrisburg, Hershey, and a nice suburban street, the post. Thinking about real estate in Dauphin County, from vibrant city life in Harrisburg to sweet charm life in Hershey, and the peace suburbs in between. This is an area, this area is truly something for everyone, whether you're looking for a historic city home or a friendly, family-friendly neighborhood or a quiet spot with a view of Susquehanna. Dauphin County delivers. What's your favorite neighborhood or hidden gem in Dauphin County? Let us know in the comments. What would everybody rate that on like a scale? Like in the middle, right? Yeah, 7, 6, 5, 7. Yeah, we'll say somewhere around 6. So when we come into prompt engineering, As much as I don't like that term, it does make sense. There are a couple things, and this will be up on my website all day, and there'll be a lot more resources by the end of the day. Keller Williams prompt. Let's see if I can share this website right here. Create a QR code. If anybody wants to scan that, that will take you. That corner piece, that's what's about. Should take you to, yeah, perfect. So down at number 2, it's the golden prompt template. This is really going to help you step up your outputs on what you want from the AI. And I'll show you with that post that we just did in just a second. So with the Gemini post, now let's give it another chat. Please. All right. So for these core principles, you are a professional social media writer and blog poster. Your goal is to create the most engaging and appealing social media post for the Harrisburg, Dauphin County region for Instagram. And then after we give it its general goals, the context that we want to give it is, we'll say context. Let's see, some key facts. What are some key facts that we just want to mention in this post? We want to mention Harrisburg's.
When you're writing it like it's in code, is that helping it?
In a slight bit, but if you want to start off without it, I don't think there's going to be a major impact. It's just to force a habit from a time when you had to do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Harrisburg's growing industries and jobs. Mention growing education. Growing education and specific neighborhoods. All right, and then after we give it some context we want to include in there, things to avoid, we'll say things to avoid. We want you to avoid being dull. Want you to avoid being AI-like. Ironic, right? We want you to avoid being clickbait. We'll just get a little short on that. And then some of these other definitions here, constraints on like who the audience is, the style, the limits. So we'll just say our audience are potential home buyers between the ages of 28 and 49, and the style and tone should be interesting, inviting, and informative.
And also when it the spark conversation.
And spark, look at this. Spark conversation. I love it. And then, so yeah, the deliverable will be one social media post for the given. And then process will be plan. Plan the
Type this so fast.
content. Plan the order of content. plan the interaction focal point,
Yeah.
and then right.
Yeah, just get down to.
Now, I know it seems like a lot of work.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
everything we just
Andrew,
did.
I don't think any of us are ever gonna do that. We
No,
just did it.
And I'm not saying it's having to do all of that, but it's just kind of to capture the
Differences, the difference.
Yeah, I'd love to see the
difference
difference.
in what the input versus output
Gotcha.
is of the two. The one we just gave it a simple sentence.
Yeah,
And then the other, we really got detailed and dirty with it.
okay.
But in doing so, the post that is created now is, plan the content, it's plan the content there, plan the order of the content, we got that, plan the interaction of the content, and then the actual Instagram post. It's paired with a high quality, vibrant carousel of images, modern shot of Harrisburg Riverline, then a cool street in Midtown, a beautiful tree lined street in Lingelstown, Paxton, and then a text slide with the final question. The Instagram post itself, let's talk about the real 717 glow up. There's an energy bubbling in the capital region. And if you haven't felt it, it's time to start looking closer. We're talking about a serious hub for innovation and opportunity. This isn't just about Capitol Dome anymore. We're seeing it in boom, healthcare careers. With giants like UPMC and Penn State Health expanding, it's a powerhouse for medical pros. Tech and logistics. Our central location makes a thriving logistics hub with a growth of tech sense to match. Next level education. It's a place to grow your skills too, with expanding programs at Hack and Penn State Harrisburg, feeling your next career growth move. Let's be honest. A great job is one thing, but a great life is another.
Can I see your last prompts? I need to take a picture of that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna send that to us?
Yeah, yeah. All of this stuff will be up here later. If I hadn't gotten sick last week, all of this stuff would already be up there.
No.
But I wanted to make sure I prioritize my health and
The,
No, that's
the
good.
last.
That one.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
That'll be all.
That was fantastic.
yeah, and I know it seems like a lot, but also if we can learn how to drive the car, we can get to more places more quickly.
Now, could you see like how it said, when you, about the post, it's like, take, or have, include images of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Can you then say, can you provide these images for me?
Yeah, so let's go, we can hit this little tool here, create images. Can you create let's do this. List the first 4 images that we want for this. We'll take that out. List 4 images in detail. It'll take this, it'll then create the image details, and then we can just copy and paste those image details into the prompt itself. And the data that it comes up with is actually quite resounding. So as it develops these scenes and specifics, we'll take this opportunity to create one of these details. So here, the image one, the glow up, the concept. So we'll take this and without even reading it.
Andrew, is it true that when you use AI to create an image or a video, it becomes your intellectual property?
Yeah, so through Gemini and ChatGPT, these are the only ones I'll speak to. But they're pretty much the ones that everybody utilizes. When you create something through these, this content is yours. It's one of those big disparaging points that you'll hear, because you'll hear on the other end artists say, well, we created that, or something almost exactly like that. How are you going to say it's yours now? And that is a whole separate point, which I sympathize, empathize, and I think is wrong. On the other side, though, if you create stuff with AI, it is yours to use where and whenever. It's one of the biggest tools and things I've been able to utilize and give people freedom with on their websites. Is when I create content, you're not renting like pictures from me for some BS fee per month. I make the pictures for you, I'll create the images. As long as they're up to snuff for you, then I give you everything. You own the website, you own the content on the website, everything going forward. So then this is the first image that it gave Harrisburg glowing up in the morning.
Okay, so are you telling me that photo is nowhere out there on the internet?
I'm telling you, this
You
photo
created
itself is 100% not out there.
Okay, oh man, so can it not pull a real image from a whatever,
Yeah,
that's been on-
so-
in an article, cause is that copyrighted and I cannot pull
Yeah,
that?
and I'll tell you, the way they get around that, is through the tech of the AI itself. You can take this picture and I can move the sun 15 meters higher in the sky. It's a different photograph, right?
Wow.
So, I mean, and maybe this will help
That's a
answer our
tough one.
question as well. So like, I have a listing that I wanna change the main photo on. And I wanted to include some elements that aren't there now, so
Yeah.
it's virtual, right? You know, so I took a picture of front of the house. And I pulled it into Gemini and I said, can you add elements of railing plus some flowers, plus a swing and add that to this image. And it spit out the new image with the.
Perfectly.
And everything.
Yeah, but.
So now I don't have to pay box brownie or
Yeah, you just have to, yeah,
Disclose that, cause I'll come.
Right.
Well, I'm
railing in.
Yeah, and I think in your industry
Where's my
specifically,
railing?
noted that there are very stringent specific situations where if you use AI to change the blade color of a piece of grass, you want to be transparent with that. You want to tell people in the caption on the photo that these images are parsed through AI, they're altered with AI.
Like Richard, there's like a concept, like, hey, this is what it could look like, but there has been real estate photographers get sued over like sunsets and stuff, because and it sounds silly, but think about it, you buy that house thinking that that sunset's in
It's
the
coming
back
down, yeah.
of the deck, and it's in the front, and it changes like
Yeah.
like how you would have responded to that. So anytime you change that, you gotta be careful to disclose.
Yeah, 100%, and that's one thing I want to double down on, because I think even when Michael and I were talking the one day, I wanted to like, I'm not sure what all your regulations are, because I don't hold a real estate agent's license. But I do know that through working with a plethora of real estate agents at different agencies, you guys are bound by like very specific and stringent laws. And they're not like guidelines, they're laws.
Like I personally would probably put like Rich's concept like in the associated documents or something, just to say, hey, we got a quote, this is what the house could look like or whatever. And what I'm seeing a lot of people, if they do like the virtual staging, they're showing the room like empty and then showing it staged.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to be a total disappointment when they show up at the
Mhm.
house, you know, they're expecting this beautiful, even though they're not buying the furniture, it does affect their perception of the property.
And I have a lot of buyers right now that are getting tricked by the AI pictures, and I'm like, you have to go back and look, cause it doesn't look like that.
So
Yeah.
in the past, I've used box brownie,
Yeah,
or
we do.
just virtual staging. And I didn't do that this time because it's just the front of the house, so not the whole house. But I was planning on using that virtual picture and I'll put right on there, property is virtually all polished or something.
Yeah.
Right? And then the next picture is going to be the actual front of the house. That way people know, but you're right, when you get a whole house like virtually staged and then if you don't disclose it, you have buyers coming in, they're all gonna be pissed off.
Yeah,
And think about the liability, even like room sizes, right? If that bed is in that virtual stage picture, but it doesn't actually fit in the room or whatever.
how
like
do you get it in? Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And piggybacking off of all that into, the AI image generation and something that Mike put up on the screen earlier about Zillow. Zillow had just, canceled a contract with Matterport. Well, Matterport's, the reason Zillow said they did is because the parent company CoStar, they said failed to sign a contract for their API usage, which is like a red herring reason to like cancel one of your largest contracts to get out there. Also, at the same time, Zillow happens to be building and utilizing its own internal AI-driven 3D tour technology. So whether they need to export to a third-party company now anymore, is part of that reason. So we've seen like a general usage on outlining those use cases through the prompting and that prompt engineering template that I had given you there. So you start to get into the LLMs and you're like, all right, I see the potential that it has with building these posts. Does anybody see potential in other usages in their workflow for emails or communications of any sort, outlines for stuff,
All of it.
everything? Absolutely. So all of it is where I would say it has a potential. One of the biggest things I see people fail to do when utilizing AI is they use it to do their job. The same way I said I felt guilty when I called my cousin at Sony, and I said I feel guilty about utilizing this, other people are gonna utilize it. The way that you cheat is that you use the AI to do your job. Because there is somebody out there building an AI real estate agent bot of some sort to do your job. It'll never take your job because each one of you has a specific set of skills, communication tools, audience, your network, whatever it may be. The AI is not gonna replicate. So take it and have it do those menial tasks for you so that you can perfect those menial tasks that take up time. You have to write an hour's, worth of emails, have it engineer the outline of each of those emails for you, and then go through and just correct them a little bit. Maybe that doesn't save you the time. It saves me a ton of time. The things that I use AI the most for are role playing through tough conversations, deep dive on citing sources. If you want specific information on your general area right now, as far as real estate trends, educational trends, housing trends, whether the general market as far as pricing is going up and down, whatever that may be, you can collect that information while doing another task, maybe writing those emails. While it's collecting all this data points for you, putting it together in a meaningful report, you can tell it to be verbose or very succinct. You'll get that report at the end of doing all your tasks. You'll read over it. You'll have the information. You can continue forward. Structured thinking. I think we saw in that previous post about the Instagram, how I told it what to do, gather the content. I want you to get all the pieces of information first. Then I want you to put that information in a meaningful order. Then I want you to write the post. Because if you do that out of order, we're not going to get the correct output. Brainstorming. This is one of the most underrated usages I think that we have for brainstorming. I'm just going to use one of my favorite models here, ChatGPT, so we can kind of get around. What's something that we've gotten stuck on in the past week? Is there anything, any project, any like writing point, anything anybody's gotten stuck on?
I have a client that had 20 families come through on an open house. And I didn't notice the smell of smoke, which normally I would.
Yeah.
But she's 80, so I thought it was like just old home smell.
Yeah.
And it's freaking, the home is beautiful. It's dated in the way she decorated, but nobody put an offer in. And I was like, what happened? So the very first person who came in said there was odor. And then my friends came in at the end, and they're really sensitive to smell.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it smells like smoke.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're in there for a little while, it dissipates.
Because your nose becomes accustomed to it.
Yeah, you don't notice it. So my issue is I need to figure out what to tell her, how to tell her.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out what as an agent I can do to fix it real quick.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So I need you to kind of help me brainstorm a situation right now. I've been, as a real estate agent for Keller, I've been trying to sell a house for an elderly lady. And the house has a noticeable smell of smoke when you first enter the property. After a while, it seems to dissipate. But after 20 open house visitors, we had no offers put in. And I need a realistic but respectful way or a couple ideas on how to communicate this information to her so that we kind of can bridge this gap in a meaningful manner and then start to move past it with solutions. Can you help me brainstorm several ways to communicate this point there? So whenever I become stuck on something, it seems so small, but to hear your ideas reflected back to you, started with a practice coming out of Harvard. So at Harvard, when you take CS 50 classes, they give you a little duck, a little squeaky duck. You sit it down next to you. Whenever you get stuck on a problem, you start talking to the duck. And it sounds crazy, but you start talking to the duck and the problems start getting solved in your head. So this right here, just on this problem that you had mentioned, 5 different ways. Empathetic, professional. I want to share some honest feedback I received from an open house. A few visitors noticed a faint smoke smell upon entering. It tends to fade after being inside for a bit, but first impressions are really important when buyers walk through the door. I think we can make a few small adjustments to neutralize the scent to help the home show even better. And then a couple other different, but none of these points are supposed to be the exact route. I think brainstorming with AI is supposed to help you open new bridges and paths into directions you weren't necessarily going. And then basic communication iteration, taking, a property description and rewriting it for, once you've had your outline, then you take that and you go make it for LinkedIn, make it for Facebook, make it for Instagram, make it for Facebook, make it for all of these things. And now all of a sudden you can post in 5 different things. If you weren't posting there already, what is it gonna hurt? But if you can have it make these for 5 different areas, and now you're getting seen by even 80 more people a month that are meaningful, that's what I really recommend. So let's do a quick little deep dive here with a new chat on trends in the Harrisburg area. Let's go with extended thinking.
Quick question while you're doing that.
Yes, sir.
Can KW IQ write offers for you?
I don't think there's a lot of legal things it can do for you.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, I think that's coming.
I think it's more informational at the moment, but I don't doubt they've been pouring millions and millions into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna say that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Because those are cumbersome. You can just tell it like, yeah, these things. What? Yeah.
While I head over this next part, I said, can you please provide me a cited report on the buying and selling trends in the central PA region over the past 3 years for residential property? So while we're talking over this next part, it's gonna go in the background, it's gonna gather all that data, it's gonna put it together in a meaningful report to me, so I can go ahead and look at it. And while we go ahead and look over that, here's one just with an AI edited image of Mr. Dickman. Super simple, just the one that you had on
Oh my
on the
God,
bottom of your
holy moly, look at that difference.
Now, it seems very, very small, right? He's just-
No.
This is the original picture. Just looking on your right.
Hair's darker, his face is thinner. I'm just kidding, I'm
But
kidding.
the fact that you can take an image and you can just. You can just turn his head
Yeah, that's.
and it looks realistic.
And the smile.
And that that kind of shows you the power
Pick out my right.
of these AI tools and what it's able to
Wow.
do.
Well, how did,
friendly.
Wait, how did you do that though? You just uploaded the image and say, make this look better? Make
Whenever-
me look better?
So whenever I was utilizing this, I literally just took this first image right over here. I just uploaded it and I said, turn the image so that he's facing more towards the front screen, like a headshot. And so all it did is it turned him a little bit.
How did you upload it?
I honestly, so the internet's gotten real crazy now. I just literally, you can hover above an image on most web pages and click copy image.
Okay.
And then I just go to Gemini, I just drop the image. I don't even have to download it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it did. And you can utilize this in some of those ways that, Rich had talked about, whether it's, changing some of these things and noting them. I've used it on some images to simply change areas of dead grass for a house that's selling in fall and then making the grass green. You still want to note that, but it is sometimes a little harder when you're trying to sell a house when everything's dead to sell it to people, you're showing images. You want people to at least click on it, come to the open house. You can do your work there. So as we talked about that, we'll see what this report is not quite done yet. And then Michael had brought it up earlier. When you create assets with Sora, Gemini, ChatGPT, you want to label them, but you own these assets. You create these images, that image of Michael that we created, obviously you want Michael's permission to utilize his image, but we own that image. We can put that up in other places and we don't have to worry about, if it's I don't know, in other situations where you utilize stock images. People oftentimes have to worry about how long do I have permission to utilize or license. You don't have to worry about that with AI. You create the image, you have permanent usage of it. So as it's crafting this last little bit of the report here, it might take a little bit of time. We have other modality uses and use cases for AI. And this might be a little dramatic here, but to kind of personify where AI has come and how far it's come in the past couple months, I want to get out one of my favorite things from ChatGPT. Hey, can you hear us?
What you need? I'm here to help out.
Hey, what does it look like I'm doing right now?
Well, it looks like you're in a room with a group of people, kind of like a classroom or meeting setup. I can see a few folks sitting behind tables, and it seems like you might be giving a little intro or just showing them around. Let me know if I'm on the right track.
Now, that is crazy. I'm actually giving an AI speech right now on AI's meaningful usage in real estate right now. So could you take 1 second to kind of say hi to everybody and tell everybody how AI has a meaningful usage in real estate?
Oh, absolutely. Hi, everyone. It's great to virtually meet you all. So, yeah, AI definitely has some meaningful uses in real estate. For example, you can use it to analyze market trends, help with property valuations, or even streamline client interactions. Basically, it's a handy tool to make your workflow a bit smarter and more efficient. So thanks for having me as a little guest star in your session.
Hey, that's perfect. So one of the things I kind of want to convey to everybody is how much I think AI is useful for role playing our tough situations that we often don't get to practice. Would you mind role playing a hesitant buyer who isn't sure if they want to buy right now because it might be their last little bit of capital and interest rates are still kind of high to them? And we want to bridge that gap in their way of communication so that they hear us at the core, but also feel compelled and convinced through our response.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that. So let's imagine I'm your hesitant buyer and, I'm kind of saying, hey, I'm just not sure if I want to put my last bit of money into this because interest rates are still feeling a little high to me. And what you could do is respond in a way that really empathizes with that concern and shows how this might actually be a good time or how they can feel more comfortable. And that way they can kind of hear you out and feel a little more reassured. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, that's perfect. I want you to start off as that person right now, and I want you to embody that character to the end. Please and thank you.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. So I'll be your hesitant buyer here. I'm saying something like, I'm really not sure about this. This is kind of my last bit of savings, and these interest rates still feel pretty high. Or this might not be the right time. And then you can go ahead and jump in and reassure me.
Well, I'm not sure how I'd respond to this because I'm not a real estate agent, but we'll see what information it would give back to me. I hear what you're saying, and I understand that it might not ever seem like the right time to make your first purchase, especially given the rates. But I will say, to continue renting, you never retain any sort of equity in that. So whether the interest rate is a little high right now, you will see a return on that, and you can always refinance later. I understand if your natural hesitation is to hold off on the purchase right now. I can understand where all of that comes into play. But the second you make the purchase, you start retaining some equity that you've worked so hard to get up to. And I think building is what our goal is here together, rather than trying to perpetuate a cycle where you're paying money that you'll never see back.
That was a fantastic approach, and I think you really nailed it. You emphasized that long-term benefit and showed some empathy for the hesitation. So yeah, that's exactly how you can use AI for a little bit of role playing and get comfortable with those kind of conversations.
Would you mind giving me your optimal response back to that statement rather than what I said?
Of course, happy to. So if I'm responding to that hesitant buyer, I'd say something like, hey, I totally get it. It's a big step and it's natural to feel a little cautious. But one thing to keep in mind is that even if interest rates feel a bit high right now, you are starting to build equity from day one. And you can always explore refinancing options down the road. Plus, owning something means you're putting your money into your own future instead of just paying rent. So it's definitely a conversation worth having and making sure you're comfortable with it. Something along those lines should help them feel heard and understood.
Now, this is just a small example of how you can utilize AI to role play, and you can get really in depth with it by giving it more and more and more information about that hesitant buyer and what their specific issue may be. And it'll give you the opportunity to practice that conversation 1,000 times that they probably don't think you're practicing. So then when you come to that conversation, the response is natural. It feels natural. And then you have that allyship in them because you're not hit with this immediate wall that you weren't prepared for, that I'm sure you guys get hit with all the time. People seem like they're ready and then all of a sudden they're not ready, or they didn't have something planned out, or you know what I mean? And the last thing you want to do is to gain more, to do more, to have less. So I think being able to practice on those conversions whenever you get into those tough situations is a really big, meaningful part of how you can utilize AI in a meaningful manner. Now, this report that we had it putting on in the background, we'll just go over this briefly, but Central PA residential trends, 2023 to right now. The region's median sold price finished 2024 at 280K, up 5.7% versus 2023. In July 2025, it reached 313,900, up 6.5% over year. Bright also notes prices rose in nearly all open markets in the region over the remains far above the 2019 levels. And it goes into the sales volumes. They dipped in 2023, recovered in 2024. The supply is easing with extreme lows, but the market is still tight. Sped up sales remain very fast. Harrisburg area patterns show more balanced feel without the price break. What this means for buyers, sellers can still expect strong pricing and quick contracts. Buyers will see more choices than last year, so it's probably a better time to buy. And then we have all the sources that we pull this information from. And I'll post this up later if anybody wants to see this as well.
But Andrew, okay, back to this
Yeah.
role play. How did you get there? How did you get to do that?
So this thing?
No, the role play.
Oh, the
text
role-
to speech, speech to text, text to speech.
Oh, so this was on a paid for version of ChatGPT that I have, but
Okay.
we can go into Gemini and we can do the exact same thing in Gemini by pulling it up. And there's a little like microphone down here. And then there's like a little strange symbol with like a little star or something next to it.
Yeah.
So when you hit that, it's kind of like hey, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well, thanks. How about you? What brings you here today?
What does it look like I'm doing today?
Looks like you're in an office setting, possibly a conference room. With a laptop in front of you, there's also a bottle of water and a jug of juice nearby. Are you preparing for a presentation or working?
And so kind of to perfectly mimic or reflect that question you had earlier at the beginning is, are certain models better for other things? I think as more models become more encompassing, the other models just encompass the same things, which is, I think, for one of the first times, I don't know how long it'll be around, kind of feels like streaming. It's working towards our benefit right now, but I'm sure they'll monetize it here in a little bit. And then I was gonna go kind of deep into like expired listings, price reductions, or open house planning. This whole thing, this presentation, along with the prompt engineering stuff, is already on my site. And those will have the links on my website at Authentic Dynamics, clickable at the top in the next 10 minutes. I won't leave here before it's done. And then what I want to know is the questions and answers. I'm sure I went over a lot. I condensed it about 50 times since Michael and I talked. I had a ton of different information up there. But I felt that getting everybody comfortable to know that there is a start point and where to start is more meaningful than unloading every potential capacity that it has for you. Are there any thoughts, any questions, things you still aren't sure that it could do, things you're hesitant? Yes.
Okay, can it take an agreement of sale or a contract and say, can you pull out the buyers, sellers, contract acceptance date, settlement date, appraisal due date, like all the factors what we would need?
So it can do
Key information.
Yeah.
It can, but I'll tell you two things. With AI, everything you put into AI, it will use, it tells us in the usage, that little click the checkbox, you agree to our terms and services. Anything you put into that box openly will be used in training future models. So personal identifiable information All that stuff, you put that in there, you're agreeing to let that information be utilized and possibly put out on the web later for use.
What about KWIQ? Do you know if that?
I don't know if KWIQ does. I've done it with ChatGPT. It works. I would caution
Yeah.
everyone if you're going to do
Yeah.
that, you still need to double check all of that, because if you're gonna use that data as building out your contract flows or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
There could be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, its accuracy is always
But
checking it, but
Drafting 100%, I think drafts, I think it's immaculate at that, especially if you start giving it information of like, this is how I write things, this is how things are written. And especially if it's like an industry standard on how things are written, it has a really great concept of that. So if you say, write me a draft on this, and then you just need to go through and it writes the draft in what, 35 seconds. And then you take 25, 30 minutes to read over it,
Yeah.
perfect it, and then you have your perfected, yeah, I still think it saves a lot of time and make sure that you get the exact article and way that you write. Even when I do emails, I'll like double through an email just to make sure I didn't misspell something or like misstructure the way I'm thinking, because we all know autocorrect is great, but it's a backstabber. It'll just change words you didn't need to change.
So I mean, so two things to that. Do you remember when we were on our call, I mentioned to you that speaker, our first call, but there was a speaker we listened to at Megan. And she's an AI expert, and she said, AI is really built on a percentage where, you give it 10%, it does 90 or 80% of the
Yeah.
work, and then you have another 10% where you need to proofread it. So always remember that. Don't ever just take what it spits out and do what you're gonna do with it. That was my first thought, and my second thought was just around reporting. Like it's really good at reports. Like I've taken tons of reports, like the multi-year trends reports and all kinds of things, and plug the reports in, and it'll literally analyze the data for you and tell you, and I'm talking real estate related. Like I've taken an agent's multi-year trends, put it in, and it's analyzed the data and spit out, what do we need to do to get more listings, right? Like based on what's happening with last year's data and the year before on the multi-year trend. So it's very, very good at data and like analyzing.
There's actually some CRM stuff that a lot of companies are working on. I'm not sure who's gonna get it, if anybody is, but predictive analytics, especially with real estate agents. And the whole goal with that is to be able to utilize AI, people's browser search history. Again, they're invading our data. And to utilize that to then convert actual convertible leads versus somebody who hasn't put through any of their, they've not even checked out a mortgage calculator, not gotten a pre-approved for anything. But somebody that they see in their browser history has already filed for their, pre-approval, has gone to 3 mortgage calculators, has checked out 15 properties, and scheduled 2 calls with people. That person is going to be considered an AI high lead. And so people are building these CRMs then to help people convert highly on these. The last thing I'll show you out with is just like a little fun, something we created for another local business in Harrisburg. Or this is actually, he's in Frederick. But this right here, this whole thing, so you'll notice that all these people are wearing sweatshirts with different pieces of art on them. This entire commercial is AI. So that's like a little bit on a different end, not necessarily for real estate agents, but also just kind of exploring like what the potential is. This is a man who he had left the military after 10 years, and his whole dream was, make sure that I sell my art, become an artist, make a career out of it, and he's doing exactly that now. And for him to be able to utilize these tools to then build meaningful commercials and other pieces of his business that wouldn't necessarily otherwise be there. The opportunity is, and I think will continue to be there while you take advantage in this short period of time. But the statistics say, if you start using AI every day today, you're still no longer an early adopter. You're like in the heart of it. anything beyond this, you're a late adopter. And we all know what happens. when you adopt something late. So. I think that's, you don't need the AI skills, you just need the repeatable workflows. You just need to pick out where you see I can start to use AI to help me do my job quickly and more better. And that'll help you get towards that first extra closing per year. Because if you can utilize it to do one more this year, you're a real estate agent. You'll figure out how to integrate it better next year. So,
Awesome.
yeah. If anybody does have any questions, again, my name is Andrew Guasch. My business is Authentic Dynamics. I do a lot of Google My Business and website work for real estate agents. So if you have any questions about those, feel free to reach out to me. You can go to my website. My phone number is 717-729-5751. I guess I didn't put that up there. The website is Authentic Dynamics as well. And like I said, before I leave here, I'm going to get those resources put up there so you can just click to them. There'll be a ton of different Keller Williams resources, I think, going on forward in the future. So, yeah, absolutely. Feel free to give me a call too. Like, I'm not charging it. I want to know like where these are utilized at, how people can best utilize them. And I'm always open to like new ideas. So,
You wanna see what my picture came out like?
do what?
You wanna see what my picture came out?
Yeah.
I can show you, so like, there's the original front of the home, right? Just, kind of lacks curb appeal.
Yeah.
And here's the one that I.
Seen you ladies.
Yeah. Good.
It was just literally
Get
just
moving
like,
on it.
hey, take this picture, can you add elements of,
Yeah.
railing plus some flowers and a porch bench? And maybe like a star in the middle on the top center, and it,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a couple iterations, don't get me wrong, but.
No, but still, that's exactly, and those are like, these are the meaningful tools that I think, like in the right context. So that's
I
one
think
thing
that
I
looks a
talk
lot
about.
nicer for curb appeal.
It does look, and especially if you have that versus the other one up on the front page, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Seasonally, to put homes.
Yeah.
As a full plan.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy? I just had flowers, it put mums.
Yeah.
Bum's a word.
Mums.
What's the word?
I don't know who left their Captain Morgan, but I might take that too.
Rich.
Yeah.
You mentioned that's for.
Absolutely. I thought about these things. I said about 97% won't use it. That was a direct reference. We have a install.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All five learn stuff value, right? Now.
Oh, okay, no, I just, I ran into a situation where it was a state sale and.
We respect my hours.
Right.
Right.
That's why I said that.
Well, that had been stated.
So I was happy when it goes out now.
Still not.
Yeah, so I suggested birthday,
I appreciate it, man. What's your name again?
and that's what we did. And we included original pics too.
All right. We're doing this.
You know, the beauty about this.
Yeah.
Not only.
Well, at the end of the day, I got you in the door, didn't I?
The Nolans.
But, but,
You guys what?
yeah, actually, so.
Yeah. You were good
But
everything?
yeah, no, I didn't choose that program.
I know, it's crazy, but.
No, that's, I was just.
Did you see me?
Contacted,
I'm having surgery again.
360.
Yeah, I came in like weeks ago. We had
Them
a man
virtually doing that.
which innovations.
They're like, well, we can do it, just one picture, except
They were away.
to do one picture.
I think I talked to you and I think you.
Like, because when I got my bill from them,
Like,
I was a little shocked by the price. I thought when I asked you for like a photo of the estimate, I thought they were more like 160 or so. When I got the bill, it was $200.
Yeah.
Like I said, I go in.
Oh,
$60
you know the,
to do that, I'm like, you know what, I mean, quite honestly, I mean, not 100%, but
and he's only open like Thursday.
they do a great job, I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah, you were the one that was in with it. That's so cool. Yeah, I was like, hey, we're like
These songs are legit. You know, like, I don't know, like, I probably should have, like, cause.
No, we got plenty of
Because
stuff.
the dollar, he paid us
It's challenging.
on my broker fee. And what I probably should have done is when they I lowered the price.
Yeah.
Probably what I should have done was like break the whole ground and sell it. I understand you're looking to, the majority of your funds and your business. I
used to,
have it,
I used to also look at in Maryland.
I can see.
What?
You guys were blessed to work though. You drove across straight line.
COVID was
Allowing me.
You drove across state line.
Yeah, I
know.
Our sales jumped 35% in the month.
But I just lowered.
And then continued to raise. And dude, in
You know,
July, of that year is.
but yeah, that'd be awesome.
As things were getting better and better, and I was like getting more money, I was felt like less happy.
Yeah.
I was like,